we'll be able to not have the bit at the start where we go, are we live? We're live.
Are we live?
We're live.
Hello?
I hope we're live in the right group. I don't know where
Well,
this
you
is
should
going.
probably check.
How do I check?
We're live in our original coaching group with the guys.
Yeah, but how do I
TS
check
Bockers.
that? If you're watching us right now, please bear with me whilst I...
We are awfully sorry. Lisa and Sam will be with you very shortly. In the interim...
Amuse yourselves.
Yes.
How do I check?
Well, I'm checking now because I'm going into the group.
Okay, thank you.
Let's have a look.
It's worth waiting for. We've got a lot to talk about. We are. I've checked.
Yeah, we're live now. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
This is why Sam is in charge of technology usually.
This is why Sam needs to empower me to understand technology more. Because when we do it for them, they don't learn.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what people that don't learn say. I'd just rather just do it. Slow learners, these people.
Sam, what are we going to talk about today?
So we are going to talk about some really important stuff, actually, and genuinely some really important stuff. What are you thumbing
counting you in. One.
Oh, right.
What are we going to talk about? One. We've got 3 things.
I thought you were trying to signal me something, because as I'm talking, obviously, it's like smoke signals. What's she trying to say? So we're going to talk about some important stuff because obviously we've got the virus going on. Virus is happening, things are changing, and as coaches, we got to adapt, right? Like everybody else. And I think this is a perfect opportunity more than ever to really understand what service means. And I say that because obviously when there's uncertainty, people are kind of like they withhold, and they often withdraw a little bit. And this is our chance to really go in and help people to open up and have these really cool conversations. So we're going to talk about uncertainty of what's going on at the moment, and to be super helpful, because I know that this is a massive topic at the moment, and I've already seen loads and loads of people falling into the trap of internet marketing. You've got to find your niche. Now's the time more than ever. And honestly, it doesn't have to be that way. I'm not saying don't do that. It's very valid. I'm sure if it's useful to you, but if I'm honest, it's very, very useful, right? At the beginning stages, especially. So we're going to talk about how to create clients online, which we both do. It's how I personally run my own business now for 4 years, and I've done all right. And I'm still here, still managing, even though these 4 walls you see is literally a wooden hut in the middle of nowhere. This is where I live. I don't know.
You've got some nice plastering going on in your wooden hut.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah, it's actually cardboard, but it just looks really real. And this is plastic. It's not really real either. And I'm on a little wooden stool. But other than that, it's gone really well. And we both really want to impart as much information much knowledge and information we can with you to help you in these times to create some clients online, right? So you can work from home, and also when this is all blown over, which it will, absolutely will, probably quicker than we think it will, then you've got a solid business, a solid coaching foundation. You've got systems in place that you can use to create and grow as much as you like, right? I'm hoping I'm not setting us up for a failure because I'm building out quite a lot.
You are. I'm wondering what I'm going to talk about, because that wasn't what we discussed.
I was just about to pass over to you, so I'm hoping you've got something to add. Of course we have. But I think let's start with uncertainty, because this is a big topic at the moment, and I've seen this already in some of my clients. This feeling of, oh my God, I don't know what's happening, so I'm just going to kind of do nothing, or I'm going to withdraw from things, and I'm going to keep everything really safe, which is very valid, obviously. But it's kind of what to do in the face of that as coaches, because it's easy to, when somebody says, oh no, I can't right now, it's easy to say, oh, okay. You know, whereas actually I think now more than ever, it's a chance to coach people around that. What's coming up for you right now? You know, how's that feeling for you? How can I support you with that? And also being not flexible with, you can help me out here actually. Is it flexible with prices? I guess it is. I'm not saying discounting in any way, shape or form, but getting creative. getting creative with people, because if they really are kind of worried about that money, it's what will work for you right now. So not being afraid to just be creative. Over to you.
Yeah, no, I do actually agree with everything that you just said. Uncertainty, I've seen a lot of posts about uncertainty actually over the last couple of days as well. And when I was thinking about this, because my clients have been asking me, and when I was thinking about this, what really came to mind was we're no more or less uncertain now, today, than we were 6 months ago or a year ago. The truth is, we cannot know what hasn't happened yet. And what our mind tends to do is fill us with ideas of, we can pretty much predict the future based on the past, or we can have, a good educated guess about what will happen based on the past. And what I see more clearly, I think now, is that that's just all made up. It's like our mind making stuff up that we buy into because it makes us feel safe. And in truth, it's never really been the case, because this virus is now going around and causing all kinds of havoc. But in reality, it could have happened last year or the year before or the year before that. Yet last year, because it wasn't happening, we weren't worried about it. And so it really, it's, I don't know if I'm articulating this well enough, but it's almost like my understanding is that the one thing I can be certain of is that it's uncertain. Always, other than what is happening right now. Everything else is uncertain. There is no certainty. But our mind makes up stories about certainty, and we tell ourselves it's an educated guess, or it's like it's truer. So that was the first thing that I've really been playing with, like, for the last day or two. And I'm seeing it in myself as well. So I can see I'm starting, I was just talking to Sam about this, I'm starting a women's group again in April, mid-April. And I can see when I'm reaching out to people, there's feelings of uncertainty. Like there's more in my awareness around, how are other people feeling right now? Are they going to be wanting to sign up for anything if they're in this really ambiguous space themselves? And I'm creating stories before I've even reached out and picked up the phone or sent the email or anything. And I can see that that's my mind. Like that's my mind at work, just buying into this idea of uncertainty means no clients. Uncertainty means no income. Uncertainty means business disruption.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to. I mean, yes, of course, I live in the real world and I can see that there is massive implications to I mean, some industries more so than others. But for us, this feels like, oh my God, if I can be of help, it's right now. And when I can see that, when I step into that space, there's so much freedom to just reach out and connect with people. So all of a sudden, that idea of uncertainty just dissolves almost. Like all of those stories that I was creating just seem to not be as significant anymore. And it is, you're right, Sam, about that flexibility. Like I've had insights myself around people, my clients are no longer in work. Like some of them are in the industries that have been severely impacted and are no longer getting an income. They don't have a certainty that their last paycheck is coming in. So it's like, how do I serve them? Like, what would be the most powerful thing to do in these scenarios? And that might be getting flexible with the pricing. It might be doing bonus sessions for nothing. Like, I want to support you as best as I can. So adding more value to the program that we'd originally contracted, because it feels like they need more support. I know Sam and we after speaking to somebody this morning, it was funny because we were both you could tell that we were both thinking about the same thing, and then Sam eventually was like, I'm just going to say this, but I'm feeling inclined to do this, and it was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. So we just went live online in Facebook, on our profiles, and said, like, we're going to create some space in our diaries this week and next week to support NHS frontline workers. And it just felt like that came from really listening to what somebody was saying, really seeing what is it that you need right now and how can we be of service. And so, you know, we're setting aside 3 hours of our time to do something, and who knows how helpful it will be, but it's just that service mode. Like, now is the perfect time to just step into service. There are so many people out there that are going to need support. Yeah. And I just want to invite people to be really active in reaching out and connecting with people, and just genuinely coming from a really compassionate, service-based place. I don't know if that answered the question. What did I start talking about? Uncertainty.
Yeah, basically. I'm glad you remembered, because I didn't. I was getting lost in the words, because it's just so appropriate. You know, it's just so real. And yeah, I mean, it's a funny one. You know, when I first started out with this stuff, I mean, I'm not going off on a tangent here because it's really relevant, but it will sound like I am. And so this program that I'm running right now, I'm just about to run, is actually starting at the end of this month. It's the first time because I had a pool of people who couldn't afford to work for me on a one-to-one basis. And I know they don't have huge amounts of resources. So I said, hey, listen, guys, there's about 15 people. I said, guys, if I could create a space, maybe an 8-week program that would be in service to all the things we've talked about, and I do a sliding scale. So you can pay anything from £1 to £500, right? How would you feel about that? And I had 12 people come back to me and say, yeah, I'm up for it. I only really wanted 10. So I sort of said they'd have to wait and see if anyone pulls out. And so my course was filled up, and actually randomly I've done all right out of it, because actually most people have been, you know, more than generous, or more than what I was expecting. And what that's really taught me is that creating a business isn't about just having all these high-paying clients. Like, it's about serving people with the space they're in and giving the opportunity to work with you and you with them. And it's an amazing experience. And that's what now is really going to be about, I think. You know, there's always going to be times where there's high-paying clients, but there's also a really valid time. I was talking to a client about this morning, one of my apprentices about this morning, how there's a really valid time sometimes to just drop what you expect and invite and accept what is. And should I get I'm going to get my picture.
Are you working out?
Yes, yeah. So I don't know if you can see this. As I was drawing it, it started to look really dodgy, and I went a bit long on the middle bit, and it just started looking really weird. But essentially what we've got is a stick man, and then we've got the past, the future, and now, right? And what you were talking about, Lisa, was anything other than now is a narrative. So the future, we don't know, but the past, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, and it can't happen again. The only thing we ever have is right now. Like, that's all that's ever been. And you're going to have to push something really hard for me to believe that there's anything other than now. Right? That's all that's ever been experienced. And when we really live within that, and we really know that, then this scenario here, what we're talking about, this uncertainty, is going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot clearer. It's going to be less about, you know, because if the day before this happened, I bet everybody was living in certainty. This is what my future is going to look like. Boom. Oh my God, all those things that have happened in the past are going to happen to me again. Oh shit, you know, the future's going to look different. What's happening now? We're all up in arms because we're in the narrative constantly. We switch between these two all the time. It's so unhelpful. This is all we ever have. This now moment has absolutely no relation to the next whatsoever. And that's really helpful when we're feeling uncertain, because it just brings it back. Simplicity. It's like, what's the next step? The one step. Which I guess brings us on nicely to how to create clients online. Unless there's anything more you want to say about the uncertainty piece.
No, I think that was, I mean, I didn't come armed with a stick man, but that was perfectly describing what I was trying to point to. Two different ways of doing it, but yeah, I think we've covered it.
Well, when I first started,
yeah, it's just that we trick ourselves into believing that we're safe and secure and certain and that we're in control.
Yeah.
And what your drawing shows is no, that's all bullshit.
Well, how can we ever control what isn't? Like the only thing that is now, and I will put all of my money, what's left of it, obviously, on everyone being fine in this moment. Like, tell me if it's not. Like in this moment, the very moment that we're experiencing, one after the other, the moment now, and it's fine. And I can tell you right now, the future will be fine, whatever that looks like. It's may not look the way you think it should look, but it will be fine, because within that, the present moment now is always okay, because there's nothing really happening.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just narration from a belief. So it's good to check in with that. Like, it's really good to check in with that. So should we help people create some clients online?
Yeah, I think we should.
Are you feeling that generous?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty generous.
Sweet. And this, what I would love to add on this, guys, I don't know why I'm talking so much now. I feel quite animated.
I know.
I love this subject. Can you tell? Something I'm actually good at. Is that if you have questions, just ask, like, get in touch, like message me or Lisa, and we can set up some time to talk, because there is no reason why you should feel like you don't know what to do next. Absolutely none. It's just a case of you asking, and we'll find a way between us to get you moving forward.
I want to really encourage conversations as well, because we have been having conversations with people, and what has been apparent is, I'm not sure everyone's hearing what we're saying. So it's why I love being in conversation with people, as in a two-way conversation, because you can sense check, and it's a really good lesson to learn as a coach. Just never be afraid to sense check. What are you hearing right now? Because I know we've spoken a lot about things in many, many videos, and when we've been in one-on-one conversations afterwards, it's like, I don't know that you've heard what we're saying yet. So I just wanted to throw that bit in there.
Yeah, I love that, especially because words are so subjective. Because when you say about service, that might not mean anything to somebody. When you say love, it's like, I love a client. So it's, if there's any doubt, don't let it be doubt. It's just a little nudge for you to go and get the right information and go and have a conversation, and we're happy to have that.
Yeah.
So creating clients online. How should we do this?
Well, why don't I start with a little bit around just really practically how to stay focused.
Nice.
And then we can move into the actual like action of creating clients online.
Yeah, nice.
But I think that's probably a piece to just lay the foundations. I've gone blurry because I've moved, so I'm going to stop my video and start it again. I don't know why. Sam recommended this camera to me, by the way, everybody.
You can't blame the camera. I think everybody knows by now, Lisa, that tech just
it's not my thing. So there might be people who are now more working from home, who find themselves in isolation, or just not in the environment that they're usually in, and maybe even having more time to work on this. So I remember when I shifted into like full-time coaching and suddenly had all of this space in my calendar that I hadn't had before. And I used to have all of these stories around, I just need some time and then this will happen. And overnight I was like, oh shit, now I have a ton of time. What do I do with it? And it was really easy to get waylaid and procrastinate and start checking out, especially if you're building a business online. Really easy to get waylaid with Facebook and scrolling through the home page and the news feed and Instagram and all the rest of it. So I just thought it'd be helpful to share some tips on what to do to stay focused and how to kind of maximize your time and not be afraid of that time, really. I mean, you could probably Google a lot of this as well, just in terms of, with not being distracted. I turn Facebook off.
Yeah.
As the first thing, turn your notifications off from your phone. Like, it's not going to hurt you to leave it in a different room, or just put it on silent and stop checking your emails every 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use the Pomodoro technique as well, or I'd do something for 20 minutes and then there'd be a timer, and I'd go off, have a cup of tea with my flatmate, and then come back. So I had a ton of like a really just kind of practical things that I used to do to keep me focused. But I think we've touched on this more recently in one of the lives, and that was about time and attention. So it's really getting clear on, what do I want to create? Like, am I in client creation mode? And if I am, I want to be seeing my diary filled with client creation activities. And so I would block out and color code parts of my schedule. So I would be really intentional about the work that I was doing. And I don't know, I just found that helped with self-discipline, because I'd kind of made that commitment to myself of, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, that's all dedicated to client creation time, which means I can't have Fridays off. Nice. Or because it almost felt like I was working every single hour, because it was just such a mishmash of everything that I needed to do. And, I was being really accommodating. If someone wanted a 9 o'clock in the evening call, I would do it, but I might have started working at 8 o'clock in that morning as well. And so it was just a real mishmash of activities. And I found when I got really clear on what's the number one thing that I want to be doing in my business, creating clients, then I block out time for that. Yeah. And now also introduce the log as well. So you kind of track the minutes that you're spending on it. So yeah, it's like that helped to not feel guilty if I wasn't working. because it was really intentional. Like, here's the time to create clients, and I'm intentionally going out and hanging out with my buddies at this time. Yeah. And I don't have to feel guilty about it, because I can see how much time I've put into client creation this week. I'm sure there's so much else to share on that. The other thing that actually has just come up, somebody had said to me, they were based in America and they were doing a workshop. So this was an in-person workshop, and they had tons of people that were due to come along to it. And something happened where, I can't remember if it was like a Trump rally or a women's rights rally or something like that. And this workshop was for women. And they ended up having literally like all of these empty chairs in the room, this big space and all of these empty chairs, because the women had other things to do that day. And they said that just felt so uncomfortable and obvious, because the room was massive and all the chairs were really, really empty. So what they said to do was, actually the next event, we started with a much smaller amount of chairs, kept all the other chairs at the back. And then when those chairs were full, people could grab a chair. And just mentally it did something. Like it kept them like, oh, we've got a full room here, even if there was only like 5 people sitting down. And I kind of look at that in a way of, you can do that with your calendar as well. So if you see this big expansive 12-hour day and you're thinking, shit, how do I fill it? It's taking away the chairs, it's taking away the hours, and just going, right, 2 hours of client creation. How do I fill that?
Yeah.
And then you can add the hours back in. So I don't know if that's going to help some people. I know that I loved that when I heard it, and I know that definitely helped me.
I really love that. I think as well, it's just kind of like a game. It's like gamifying it. It's like gamification, and something similar that I do with my labels, like my sticky labels. It's just kind of like, how do I get these people from here to here? Like, how do I need to serve them? What do we need to talk about? What do they need from me and from themselves to get them from just introduction to conversation? Just having fun with that. And the thing that really transformed this whole process for me was just having a really simple system, like a really simple system. And this for me, client creation, just so I'm really clear for everybody, it does not involve building a website. It does not involve doing loads of stuff on Facebook. It does not involve scheduling posts. It does not involve email collecting and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't involve niching. It doesn't involve client messages. You get the point, right? It doesn't involve any of that stuff. For us, us, because we're one and the same with this, it's like you always say, I've never created a client outside of a conversation. So if I know that I'm having a shitload of conversations, I'm going to create clients, right? And so it's kind of, that's all it is. It doesn't matter whether it's online, doesn't matter if it's offline. Simple systems. How do I have a conversation with somebody today? Who can I serve today? Oh, I spoke to this many people last week and I didn't even think about that. These are all people I've had a conversation with. I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to go and talk to them about what I'm doing. How can I support them? This is how they can support me. Because people love to support each other. It's building relationships. Such a simple system that you've always got in place. And client creation is conversation, just to be really, really clear. Unless you disagree, Lisa.
No.
Thank God for
we
that.
agree.
That could have been really awkward.
I'm going to do a separate live after this. Our secret group.
Silent Sam from the group. But it is so true, isn't it? It's like as soon as I cottoned onto that, I didn't have to do any of that other stuff. And then actually, you know, I spent tons of money, tons of time trying to create one lead when I could just go up to somebody and say, hey, listen, you haven't met me yet. And I'm not saying to do this, but this is how I've actually created clients in the past. Like, you haven't met me yet, but I love what you do. Like, I've loved your business. I've had a look at it. I love your website. I love what you're about. I think I can support you. I've supported this person in this. Would you like a conversation about that? Mm-hmm. How can I help you? And it just starts, right? So yeah, I hope we're being clear on that because it's important. You know, it's just a conversation, and then you create leads. It's just like, it's not.
So Sam, how would you? I have thoughts on this, but I want to ask you this as well. Online, how do you recommend conversations? Like, how do you start conversations? What would be your advice to anybody that's like, yeah, Sam, I hear you. You need to be in conversation, but how? How do I get into conversation online without spamming people, without doing all that digital marketing? Like, what do you mean by creating conversations online?
It's a great question. And my initial response to that is curiosity. Simple as that. I'm genuinely curious about somebody's business or about what they're doing, a project. And inevitably when I talk to people online in different groups, or I've done a talk or a podcast, which I'll come on to in a minute, people inevitably start a conversation with you. It's like, I'm going to find out a little bit more about that person. You know, how can I help them? How can I support them? What is it that I love about what they do? And it's just getting curious. Like, tell me more about what you do. Like, this looks awesome. Like, this is a really freaking cool project. Like, tell me more about it. And it's like anything, just starting a conversation. It's just hello. I just start.
And I'm going to slow you down even more. How do you find the people to say hello to?
So for me, my main area of networking is Facebook, obviously. So different groups, for example, groups of people that I'm interested in talking to. So I love working with entrepreneurs. I love working with business owners. I love working with people who are retired and just want to find out more about who they are now that their working is done. They're rediscovering themselves. So I'm around those people because I'm in groups of those people. And if a question is asked or there's a conversation I'm interested in, then I'll just jump in and I'll start a conversation. For me, one of the I'll move on to this actually, because this is something that will be really practical for people. The things that have worked the very best for me in terms of connecting with people online is firstly finding people that you can partner up with, that complement you and you complement them. So as a coach, something I'm really excited about is health and fitness, because it's my previous life as a personal trainer. So I went out to actively seek online fitness and nutrition experts, and I'd have a conversation with them, get curious about what they did, tell them what I did, and invite them into a conversation about how do we partner up? Like, how can we partner up to serve these people better, to serve your tribe better? What can I offer you? And one of the best things I ever did was invite somebody. She'd never met me before. And it's not that I don't recommend doing this. It's just, you've got to be really willing to hear no. With somebody talking online, I knew she had a big fitness following, and I just loved what she was talking about. And I just said, I'd loved your live. I'd love to gift you some time. And you've heard the story before, right? I'd love to gift you some time. And she was like, that sounds great. And so we had some coaching. She paid me to be her coach for a bit, and then she invited me into her business. And we've kind of created this really great place, this online fitness sort of tribe, as it were, where I'm now the kind of main coach. So it's building relationships, not with other people that you want them to pay you, but other coaches and other professionals that could benefit from your service. And I do a live into her group every week, and I go on her retreats now and do some live coaching days and stuff. It's wicked. So cool.
Well, one of the things that I know about you, Sam, is that consistency is really evident in your work. As you are so active online, and that really shows. It's like every day without fail, there's a post, there's a live, there's something going on that is service based. It's not, I know I've talked about this before, when I look back at my first group, and it was like, oh man, that was all about me. That was all about making me look good. And when you flip that into coming from a less insecure place and into like, oh, a real service, like what is going to bring value, and how do I do that consistently? And that, you've totally nailed that in this space. And I want to point that out, because that to me feels really important. It isn't about, willy-nilly, when I can be asked, I'll send a post out or do something and then wonder why people are not coming to conversation with me.
Yeah.
It's like there's a huge investment of time and energy that go into serving these pools of people.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, can you share, like, how much time do you spend, would you say, a week, a day, whatever is the easiest breakdown for you in actually serving and creating conversations online?
Yeah, I mean, I would say outside of my coaching hours, so I coach for about 20 hours a week, something like that, as actual coaching hours. Outside of that, I probably spend another 20 hours in client creation, at the very least. So it's at least double. I'm committed to building an online coaching practice. And if you're not committed, then forget about it. Like this is, if you're committed to it, it's not a half-assed job. One of the best pieces of advice I can ever give anybody is never post anything to create clients. Post it because you think it's impactful and something you really want to say. Mm-hmm. That was a big turning point for me, because that my engagement and conversation went from almost zero to, holy shit, I've not heard someone say it like that before. And oh my God, he's really not afraid to say what he thinks. Not in a horrible way. I'm not going around insulting people. Yeah. But if we're posting to create clients, you're just doing what everyone else is doing. It's boring and no one listens to it. The online space is so inundated with people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But no one can replace you. There is only one of you and only one of your experience. And to really show up to that is massively transformational, and it's easier because you're not constantly thinking, oh, when should I post? How much should I post? I post when it occurs to me to post. Mm-hmm. And I'm motivated because I want to do it. I love it.
Yeah. I read something today as well around this, really landed with me. And it was about, the coaches who are not doing well, the coaches who are really passionate. I think it was like coaches are passionate, but they're passionate for themselves and it's not purpose driven. Mm. And they're not really making any money. And then there's coaches who are making a lot of money and they're really purpose driven. It's like that's another level. That's when you're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing it just because you're passionate about it. You're doing it because it really fucking matters. And I could feel myself earlier when we was on this call and we were talking about the NHS. And I was like, oh man, like I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like
I was
there was,
welling up.
it was like, it felt really emotional. I was like, this is something we have to do. Like, even if we have one person, even if we have 0 people, we need to offer this. And it's like, that is what keeps you going. That is what makes you do the 4 hours every day on client creation. That is what makes you reach out to 50 people and hear 49 no's and still stay in it, because you've created one person. You know, it's like, and you are going to serve that person as hard as you can serve them. So I don't know, I wanted to share that as well, because I read that today and I was like, God, that is it. That sums it up for me. It's like really purpose driven building a business.
Yeah.
And I do it quite differently. I mean, I do some of what you do, but I would say I'm nowhere near as active online as you are. Yeah, I kind of feel like I have a hybrid business, because I would say, you know, I have an online business. I don't do any face-to-face coaching. It's very rare that I do face-to-face coaching. So I run groups online, programs online, one-to-one online. A lot of my clients are still created online, in that we're in conversations via Zoom. But I don't know if you count online as text message, email to say, you know, have you got some time to talk this week? So, and I do a lot of that.
I think anything virtual, right? Like anything that's not kind of face to face is online, because it's
helping people see. You can talk about online in so many different ways. So you can have your own Facebook group. You can be very active in other people's Facebook groups. You can do lives. You can post.
Be interviewed.
Or you can do interviews. Or you can kind of reach out to people separately and then bring those conversations online. So there's so many different ways of doing it. And I know, you know, I probably ended up doing it that way because I hated doing Facebook Lives. Like, I just didn't want to do them. I didn't want to do videos, but I was really comfortable in a conversation. So I found a way to be online, but to not have to put myself in a position where it was like, I'm just not going to do it if I have to do it this way. It was like finding something that felt more authentic. And then eventually, I don't know what happened, but I just suddenly was really free to do Facebook Lives.
Yeah.
And I think it was finding a way. Like you just talked about, Sam, you just talked about partnerships. And this, in a way, this is a partnership that has given me that freedom to do Facebook Lives, because now it feels like a conversation as opposed to a monologue.
Yeah. So this is a perfect example. You know, it's not just living coaching, it's kind of breathing it. It's something that I love and we love, and which is what brought us to this point of we both have our own coaching practice, but we're helping other people create theirs, because it's just so awesome. Like, it's such an incredible career and so life-changing for so many people. And it's in my blood, and I can't not do it. And I honestly think that's what it takes. It's what it takes to be it's what it takes to master anything, right? You don't have to love it all the time, because it's fucking hard sometimes. But to master something, you've got to keep doing it. Right? And it's just one conversation after the other.
Yeah.
That's it. And not being afraid, or even if you are afraid, looking for those no's. Like, it's cool. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine.
Yeah. Just remembering it's not personal. It doesn't mean anything about you as a coach. You got to know, woohoo, it's one no closer to a yes.
And celebrate it, mate. You're one in very few people that has gone and got a no. Most people don't even get that far because they're too worried about the no.
Yeah.
You know, you get a collection of no's, epic, pat on the back, like massive pat on the back, because you've done more than most people are even willing to start doing. They're too busy creating websites and all the other stuff. Doesn't really matter. So yeah.
Is there anything else we want to share? I'm conscious we can't really see the questions, so if there are questions,
I can have a quick log on, because I did see a couple pop up.
Okay.
Let me.
I'll just think about what would I want to know if I was starting out creating conversations online this week.
Oh, annoyingly, can't see the comments. Oh, yes, can. Right. Rebecca said hello. Yeah, she said she knew I was in a hut. We have to support and serve with you. Bless you. Thank you, Rebecca. Changing perspectives is very powerful. This is Joe. See things as a challenge and a puzzle. Yep. Joe, I think those conversations are easier, Sam, to create because business people are public with what they do, whereas I have to get more clever around starting conversations with potential clients. Potentially, Joe, although half of my clients are there because they want to change anxiety and panic and worry. So I haven't actually ever really experienced any difference between people in business and people with feelings. I could treat them the same.
I didn't hear what Joe's comment was, Sam. Sorry, can you say?
So she said, I think those conversations are easier, Sam, to create because business people are public with what they do, whereas I have to get more clever around starting conversations with potential clients. She said, thanks, Lisa. You raised an important question, RE online conversation. And I mean, everybody's different. Of course they are. Like you do things the way you do things. But my experience of this is that there's no difference between people that are creating business and people that have anxiety or they're in a place where they're really withdrawn. Like having somebody say, I got you. Like, I've got you. I hear you. Let's talk. And if you don't want to talk on the phone, let's start with messaging. Like, tell me what's going on for you. Like, I am here. There's no difference. There's no difference apart from the narrative.
Yeah, and I wonder as well, just to kind of speak to Joe's question, and I'm not suggesting in any way, this is not advice at all, it's more of a question, or more sharing from my experience. What I saw for myself was when I really niched down, like, so the temporary moment where I was interested is not the right word at all, involved in digital marketing, and found that I'd really niched down. The people who I was speaking to were entrepreneurs, like female entrepreneurs, and we were having the same questions. But actually, do you know what? I could have been talking to pretty much anyone, because underneath that, a lot of it was around limiting beliefs. A lot of it was around confidence. A lot of it was around, like, who am I to be doing this? What do I know? A lot of it was about anxiety. And so I don't know if there's something there. If you are really feeling like the people you want to serve are just so out of reach, like so hidden, it's too hard to get to them, then I want to throw in the possibility of, what if you were to open up slightly to an idea of serving other people, you know, like that might have similar problems, but just disguised in a different format.
Yeah.
And that kind of touches on what you just said around, there might be business people, but there's a hell of a lot of anxiety.
Oh, mate. It's so true. I mean, honestly, the only difference for me in my clients between those that are agoraphobic and anxious and stuck at home, and people who are functioning within a business and have a business and a family, the only difference is the business. That's it. That is it. And if something's really hard, find a way to make it easier.
Yeah. It's like all the internals. It doesn't matter, like you say, it doesn't matter what the person does, who they are. It's like, it's all the internal stuff that's the transformational stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, Joe, but it's and also when you listen to this, like, try and listen at a level where you're not listening to agree or disagree or find reasons why that's a good idea or a bad idea. Like, try and listen in a way that's just allowing whatever it is we're saying to just go in and have almost no opinion on it. and just sit with that and see where you come out.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And I mean, the amount of times, especially in my business, I mean, it honestly, when you look at like from beginning to where it is now, it would appear like this sort of straight line, but my God, it looks like a tree with shitloads of branches, and you go out and try that, didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't feel right, that was hard, there was resistance there, and it's like it keeps going, but it's not straight up.
Yeah,
there's so much to it, and you got to learn to say, well, actually, this isn't working for me right now, so perhaps I should try something else. And that's cool. Like, that is cool. But I would put money on that. Once you've created clients and you've got some wealth, and they're not the people that you're trying to create with now, you're probably going to realize that actually that doesn't matter so much anymore, because I've got my clients and they're the ones that matter. But that's all that matters, right? Not who you think are going to be your clients, but who are your clients.
Yeah. A great example that just popped into my head was that my coach, she wanted to start working with teenagers. And she's such a like kind, warm-hearted soul, and she really wanted to help teenagers who were incredibly vulnerable, incredibly what's the opposite word to privileged? I can't think
underprivileged.
Of it. We'll go with that. Incredibly underprivileged, vulnerable teenagers. So she was going into schools and like looking out for these teens that she could serve. And there just wasn't any money in it. Like, they just didn't have any money to afford to pay for that. But she was really fixed in her view of, no, because, I need to serve these people because they don't have anything, and I need to be of service to them. And she was working with Steve Chandler, and I can't remember the question that he asked her, but basically it just turned it all on its head for her. And she suddenly saw it really differently. And she was like, a teenager coming from a really wealthy background that goes to a really good school has exactly the same fucking problems as a teenager that doesn't. Inside, they still have all of these thoughts going around, running their life, creating their story, creating their fears. So on the outside, it might look really different, but on the inside, it's not so different after all. And so she ended up going in, and now she has a business that half of her business is full of teenagers, and the other half is full of coaches. So
perfect.
Yeah, so it's like, I wish I could remember what he actually said to her that flipped it for her, but it was just opening up to the idea of, we're not so different. Like, our mind is just creating a story of the people who need us the most look like this, and it might not be the case.
No, and I think often we think that because it's us that's in that space.
Yeah.
Like, it's, it's a reflection of what we're seeing. And what you said there, it kind of hit home to me, and this is something that comes up for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, but what about the people that can't afford it? It's like, I've just created a course, and I've got the ability now for people to pay £1. That is an entry fee, £1 for an 8-week course, right? I couldn't do that if I didn't have a thriving business. Like, that's just a practicality. I could not do that, and not if I wanted to be a full-time coach. If I did this part-time and it wasn't paid, it wouldn't matter. But I'm committed to having a full-time coaching practice because I love it and I don't want to do anything else. So for me, this is actually going back to what we were saying earlier, which is make it work. Like, if you, just because you've got higher paying clients and you're actively looking for people like that can pay you and that will really excite you to work with, doesn't mean that other people are going to miss out. You've got the ability to serve.
Yeah. And if you're really resistant to that, there are options. You might not want to hear them, but there are options. So, if I was thinking, well, I want to work with people who just have no money. I want to work with the homeless. They have no money. I want to work with them. I want to coach them. It might be that I have to go and get another job. Right? So I bring in an income doing something else so that my time that I have free, I can serve the homeless for nothing. Like, there are ways, if we were, and this comes back to the passion purpose thing. It's like, if that is what your purpose is, that's really what you want to do. There's a real driving force behind that. There will be a way to make it work. There will. But it might just not look like how we have our ideal scenario painted out in our head, you know?
Yeah, stop trying to create your future from now. It doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
Just live now. Start now. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Rebecca said she's going to start a no board.
Oh,
she's
nice. I love it. I hope it's a big board, Rebecca. Don't forget one of those little post-it notes. You need like a big A1 at least.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
I think we've been talking for nearly an hour.
Long time. Yeah.
Definitely not going to apologize, because honestly, there are courses out there that you'd be paying a lot of money for this kind of content, to be fair. So, you know, we want you to really enjoy and get a lot out of this and be challenged by it as well. Like, some of this stuff isn't always easy to hear, but as we said at the beginning, guys, there's still 4 people watching, and people will watch again later in the week. If you have any questions, if you feel as though you're not quite there, or there's something missing, or you just want to have a conversation, me and Lisa will find some time to have a conversation with you to get you clear on what to do next. Right. I'm just giving away your time there. I hope you're cool with that.
That's fine.
Need to say that.
That's not the only thing I'm pissed off with you about today, remember?
Oh man, this is just, I said to you,
I'm running out of hands to keep my tally on. Joe, Rebecca might need to borrow your board. How many times I need to say no to Sam?
I do feel for Sarah, my wife, sometimes, man, honestly.
So do I.
She can ask me something, and then she's got a 20-second window, because if 20 seconds goes by, I'll forget. I'm gone. It's gone, and it's not coming back.
Is that why she reached out to me to say she needed some help?
Yeah, no, she's supposed to send those divorce papers to the solicitor, but she sent them to you instead.
Oh man. Right, okay, that's us. We'll end this.
Rock and roll.
When I figure out how to do it. Look at that, stop live stream. All right, bye everyone.